The sensor arrays of the Kaldrith Imperial Listening, Post 447, had monitored the empty void of Sector Gamma 9 for 300 standard cycles without incident. That changed in an instant. Commander Vexther's 4 eyes widened simultaneously as his console erupted in cascading alerts. The fabric of spacetime itself was tearing open, bleeding exotic radiation across every spectrum his instruments could detect. The void rippled like disturbed water, and then, impossibly, a ship emerged from absolutely nothing. "By the Eternal Emperor," Vexther whispered, his mandibles clicking in unconscious distress. The vessel was enormous, easily 3 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull a matte black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. It possessed no visible engines, no exhaust plumes, no conventional propulsion signatures whatsoever. Most disturbing of all, it had simply appeared instantaneously in real space, bypassing every known method of faster-than-light travel the Galactic Empire had catalogued in its 10,000-year reign. "Hail them immediately," Vexther commanded. "Full spectrum broadcast, demand identification and purpose." His communications officer's tentacles flew across her station. "Broadcasting now, Commander. No response. Wait, detecting massive power surge from the unknown vessel." Aboard the human warship Threshold, Captain Lisa Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic tactical display hovering before her. The 14-year journey from Earth had been spent in quantum suspension, but her mind felt sharp, focused. This was the moment humanity had prepared for. "Ensign Laura," she said calmly, addressing the young officer at the weapons console, "what's our targeting solution?" Laura Martinez, barely 19 standard years old, ran his fingers across the haptic interface with practiced precision. Despite his youth and the gender-atypical name that often confused others, he'd graduated top of his class at the academy. His specialty was the new quantum-entangled weapons systems that made the Threshold unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "All weapon systems are hot, Captain," Laura reported. "The AI has mapped defensive emplacements on their listening post and computed optimal firing solutions. But Captain," he hesitated, "we're detecting multiple encrypted transmissions from the station. They're calling for reinforcements." Lisa allowed herself a thin smile. "Let them call. Operations, what's our dimensional anchor status?" "Locked and stable, Captain," replied the operations officer. "We can shift back to quantum space in 0.3 seconds on your command." This was humanity's advantage, the result of a century of desperate research after first contact had gone catastrophically wrong. While the Galactic Empire traversed space through conventional hyperspace lanes, limited by the underlying geometry of the universe, humans had discovered something else entirely, a way to temporarily decouple from reality itself, traveling through the quantum foam that existed beneath spacetime. No hyperspace interdiction could stop them. No sensor could track them. They could appear anywhere, anytime, utterly without warning. "Incoming transmission, Captain," the communications officer announced. "They're demanding we identify ourselves and state our intentions. Standard Imperial protocol. There's a definite note of panic in the subharmonics." Lisa's expression hardened. She remembered the reports from the colony ship Perseverance, the first human vessel to encounter the Galactic Empire. The Empire had deemed humanity primitive and unsuitable for integration. Then they'd obliterated the ship, along with 10,000 sleeping colonists, without warning or mercy. That had been 43 years ago. Earth had not been idle. "Open a channel," Lisa commanded. "All languages, all frequencies. I want every ship, station, and planet within 100 light-years to hear this." The channel opened, and Lisa spoke clearly into the recorder. "This is Captain Lisa Chen of the Terran Confederacy warship Threshold. You are witnessing the return of humanity to the galactic stage. 43 years ago, the Kaldrith Empire murdered 10,000 human civilians without provocation. We have not forgotten. We will never forget." On the listening post, Commander Vexler felt his blood chill. Humans, the primitive species from that backwater world. Impossible. They barely had chemical rockets when Imperial scouts had surveyed them. "Captain Chen," he transmitted back, forcing authority into his voice, "you are in violation of Imperial space. Your vessel represents technology in defiance of the Technological Restriction Accords. You will power down your systems and prepare to be boarded, or you will be destroyed." "Laura," Lisa said quietly, "Fire Solution Delta 3, Precision Strike. I want their weapons disabled but their communications intact. They need to send a message for us." "Aye, Captain." Laura's hands moved with practiced ease, firing. The quantum-entangled weapons bay of the threshold hummed with power. Unlike conventional energy weapons that fired photons or particles across space, the quantum cannons exploited entanglement at a fundamental level. Paired particles separated by kilometers were forced into specific quantum states, and when one collapsed, its partner collapsed instantaneously in a predetermined pattern. The effect was devastating. The listening post's defensive turrets simply ceased to exist, their molecular bonds disrupted at the quantum level. No energy beam crossed the void. No missile launched. The weapons simply converted to their constituent atoms in perfect silence, drifting away as glittering dust. Commander Vexler stared in horror at his console. One moment his station had been armed and dangerous. The next, they were defenseless. No warning, no incoming fire detected, no defensive countermeasures triggered. The weapons had simply been erased from existence. "Report," he screamed. "All weapons systems offline, no, destroyed." His tactical officer stammered. "No projectiles detected, no energy weapons, nothing. The targeting sensors show absolutely nothing was fired at us." Lisa watched the results with grim satisfaction. "Ensign Laura, excellent work. Communications, send the prepared data package to the listening post. I want their empire to understand exactly what they're dealing with." The data stream flowed across space, containing detailed specifications, intentionally limited but sufficient to terrify, of humanity's new capabilities. Quantum space travel that made interdiction impossible, weapons that struck without crossing space, manufacturing systems based on programmable matter. And most ominously, population figures. Earth and her colonies now numbered 47 billion souls, every one of them educated, technological, and very, very angry about the perseverance. "Captain," the sensor officer reported, "detecting hyperspace transitions inbound. Looks like 12 signatures, Imperial warships responding to the distress call." Lisa nodded. "Excellent, that's exactly what we wanted. All hands prepare for quantum transition on my mark. Laura, when those ships emerge from hyperspace, I want a demonstration they'll never forget. Don't destroy them, just disable their primary systems. All of them simultaneously." Laura's eyes widened slightly. "All 12, Captain, simultaneously. The galaxy needs to understand that their numbers don't matter anymore, Ensign. Can you do it?" Laura took a deep breath, then nodded. "Yes, ma'am. Targeting solutions computed and locked." The Imperial task force emerged from hyperspace in textbook formation, weapons hot, ready to obliterate the upstart vessel that had dared threaten an Imperial outpost. Admiral Kreshnak had commanded the Imperial Third Fleet for 60 cycles. He'd pacified rebellions, crushed pirate fleets, and intimidated countless lesser species into submission. One mysterious ship, however advanced, was nothing his 12 battlecruisers couldn't handle. "All ships target the unknown vessel," he commanded. "Fire on my—" His order died in his throat as his flagship's primary power system simply stopped functioning. Around him, every console went dark. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting the bridge in hellish red light. The engines were dead, weapons dead, shields dead. Frantic reports flooded in from his other ships. Every single vessel in his task force had been simultaneously crippled. all their primary systems disabled in the same instant, with no detected attack whatsoever. On the threshold, Lisa allowed herself a moment of fierce pride. "Well done, Ensign. That should make the point clearly enough. Operations take us out. Quantum transition to coordinates Delta 77. Aye, Captain. Initiating quantum decoupling." Commander Vexler watched in awe and terror as the human warship began to fade from existence. Not the smooth transition of a hyperspace jump, but something far stranger. The vessel became translucent, then transparent, then simply ceased to exist, leaving no radiation signature, no spatial distortion, nothing to indicate it had ever been there at all. His console chimed with an incoming message, transmitted just before the human ship vanished. It was text only, in perfect Caldrith. "The Terran Confederacy claims no territory and seeks no conquest, but we will defend ourselves and we will have justice for the Perseverance. The Empire has one standard cycle to deliver those responsible for that massacre to neutral space for trial. If they are not delivered, we will come and take them. You cannot hide from us. You cannot track us. You cannot stop us. Choose wisely." In the years that followed, the Galactic Empire would learn painful lessons about assumptions, about underestimating others, about the terrible dangers of making enemies without understanding their potential. But on that day, in Sector Gamma 9, Captain Lisa Chen and Ensign Laura Martinez had fired the first shots in a war that would reshape galactic civilization forever. The humans had returned, and they had learned to walk through walls.